I never thought this would happen to me. My wife, Sarah, whom I loved deeply, started to change a few weeks ago. At first, I thought it was just the stress of daily life, work, the kids, the bills. But on closer observation, I noticed troubling details. Her phone vibrated more often. She smiled at her screen like a teenager discovering her first crush. When I asked what made her so happy, she would always reply vaguely, "Oh, nothing. Just an old friend on Facebook." But it wasn't an old friend. It was a man. A boy really, barely younger than her. Unemployed, with nothing going on. They chatted as soon as I stepped out for work. They laughed, sent each other pictures, and quickly, this virtual game took a much more serious turn. One night, while she slept soundly, I took her phone. I had always respected her privacy. But that night, something pushed me to look. And there, the truth unfolded before my eyes. Passionate messages, sweet words, promises. She sent him money, gave him internet credits, inventing countless excuses to justify the expenses. My heart sank. $325 gone in a week. And the worst? She told him she was happy with me, that she wasn't looking for anything serious, just a dangerous game. I sat frozen, holding the phone, unable to breathe properly. I kept reading and rereading the words she had written, words that felt raw, almost humiliating. She confessed her fantasies, her desires. She said she couldn't wait for their first date, like a teenage girl in love. And that boy, instead of respecting her, was already manipulating her. He had even asked her not to sleep with me for a week before their meeting. "I want you fresh, just for me," he wrote. And she, submissive, replied that she would obey. Since that day, Sarah had been pushing me away. She invented excuses, headaches, fatigue, endless periods. Anything to avoid my arms. The wound was deep. I was torn between rage and sorrow. How could she go this far? We had built a life together, a home, memories, a future. And for what? For a stranger found on Facebook. But while part of me wanted to scream, another part decided to take revenge. Not with violence. No, I would play their game, lies and deception. I created a fake account, a false identity, a mask I could hide behind. And very quickly, I reached out to her, under his name. She never realized that behind the screen, it was me. At first, I wasn't sure if my plan would work. But Sarah took the bait right away. She believed she was talking to her handsome online lover, when in fact, it was her husband. That way, I could read her real thoughts, her expectations, her frustrations. And the more I discovered, the more my heart bled. She laughed with me, telling him how excited she was to meet. She confessed she had put aside money to spoil him with gifts. She even described her body, her desire to be kissed everywhere. Every word burned me. Yet I kept going, determined to trap her in her own web. One evening she wrote, "I've never felt this way. It's like being reborn." I wanted to tell her that this rebirth would cost her dearly. But I stayed in character, patient, calculating. I wanted her to give everything away. Day by day, she drifted further from me, in real life. She avoided my gaze, my touch. At the dinner table, she was glued to her phone, typing frantically, convinced her prince desired her. And I recorded every word, every promise, every lie, preparing for the moment when everything would collapse, when the mask would fall. One Wednesday night, as I pretended to watch TV, Sarah told me she needed to send money to her sick aunt. I nodded, but inside I boiled. I already knew this money wouldn't go to any aunt. In reality, she was about to transfer $325 to her lover. I let it happen, but I noted the exact moment, the receipt. I wanted to gather proof, not to confront her right away, but to destroy the illusion she had built. A few hours later, from my fake profile, I thanked her for her generosity. She replied with tender words, thinking she was seducing a man who didn't even exist. The pain was heavy, but a strange satisfaction began to grow. I controlled her lie. She didn't know it, but every action, every secret she shared with me, became a weapon I would use at the right moment. Then came the message I had been waiting for. "We'll meet next Thursday. I can't wait to finally see you." My heart raced. That Thursday would be the stage of truth. The following days were strange. At home, Sarah was distant, cold, almost indifferent. But behind the screen, under my fake profile, she was fiery, impatient, ready for anything. It was as if I had two different women before me. One who despised me, and another who dreamed of me without knowing who I was. She carefully prepared for that meeting. I saw her buy new lingerie, apply makeup more carefully than usual, even perfume herself before bed. She thought she was preparing for him, but she was getting ready for me. I decided to push the game even further. From my fake profile, I wrote, "Don't sleep with your husband until our meeting. I want you completely mine." She agreed without hesitation, and from then on, every night she rejected me with ridiculous excuses. The pain was sharp, but I held firm. I wanted her to sink deeper. I also began to organize our meeting, or rather her confrontation. I would be there, in flesh and blood, not as the lover she expected, but as the husband she had betrayed. And that day was fast approaching. Thursday finally came. I hadn't slept all night. In the morning, Sarah got ready as if she had an important interview. A new dress, discreet but elegant makeup, perfume filling the house. She had that gleam in her eyes, a mix of excitement and anxiety. "Where are you going?" I asked calmly. She hesitated, then replied, "To a friend's. She's going through a hard time." I smiled inwardly, because I knew the truth. She left in the late afternoon. I followed her at a distance, my heart pounding. She didn't notice, too absorbed in her thoughts. She sat in a downtown cafe, checking her watch every 2 minutes. She was waiting for her lover. She was waiting for me. I let a few minutes pass, then walked in. Her face lit up for an instant, then froze. She had seen me, not the man she hoped for, but her husband. A chilling silence fell between us. She realized, at that moment, that her entire game had crumbled. Sarah turned pale, unable to speak a word. I sat across from her, placed my phone on the table, and opened our conversation, the one she thought she had with her lover. Her eyes widened in horror. "It was you," she stammered. I nodded. I didn't shout, didn't slam the table. I simply let the messages scroll, the evidence of her lies. Every sentence she had written struck like a slap. She tried to justify herself, spoke of boredom, curiosity, a game that went too far. But I barely listened. All I heard was betrayal. The whole cafe seemed to be watching us. She lowered her head, ashamed, unable to meet my eyes. I stood up, grabbed my things, and only said, "You just lost more than a husband. You lost my trust." Then I walked out, leaving her alone among her lies. The following days were heavy. Sarah tried to talk to me, to beg, to tell me she still loved me. She sent me messages, left letters, cried in front of me. But nothing worked. The wound was too deep. I kept thinking of everything. The stolen money, the lies about her sick aunt, her refusal to share our bed. She had sacrificed everything for a man who didn't even exist. And paradoxically, I felt both betrayed and avenged, because I had seen her true face, her weaknesses, her hidden desires. And now, I had no illusions left. One evening, she asked me, "Are you going to leave me?" I looked at her for a long time, then answered, "No, it's you who left this marriage long before I did." Her tears flowed again, but my heart remained ice cold. I had always believed that love could forgive anything, but what I discovered went beyond redemption. Sarah had crossed an irreversible line. I began packing my bags, slowly. She begged me to stop, clung to my arms, swore she would cut off all contact on social media. But it was too late. I had realized a painful truth. Once trust is destroyed, it never comes back. I left her the house, the furniture, almost everything. I wanted nothing, except my freedom. As I walked away from that home, my heart was heavy, but I felt an odd lightness, as if I was freeing myself from an invisible prison. Sarah watched me leave, devastated, repeating over and over, "I love you. I love you." But her words no longer had any echo. The following weeks were difficult. I went through sleepless nights, empty days. But little by little, the pain turned into strength. I started working out again, went out with friends, rediscovered forgotten passions. I realized then that I had lived too long in an illusion. The illusion of a solid marriage, when the foundations had already been crumbling. One night, I learned that Sarah had tried to contact other men online. She had learned nothing from this lesson. It hurt me again, but confirmed my decision. I didn't want a woman who searched elsewhere for what she refused to build with me. Then one morning, I received an unexpected message. It was Sarah. She told me she regretted everything, that she was ready for couples therapy, that she wanted to rebuild. I read her message and remained unmoved. It was too late. What she wanted to fix was already shattered into 1,000 pieces. I simply replied, You didn't lose your husband. You lost a man who truly loved you. And I cut off all contact. Today, months have passed. I've taken my life back. I learned that trust, once betrayed, can never really be mended. Sarah still lives in the house. They say she spends her evenings alone, staring at her phone, hoping for a message that will never come. As for me, I carry no more resentment, just a scar that reminds me of a precious lesson. Love must be fed with truth, not with lies. And in this newfound silence, I finally smile.